starts now.
Good morning to you. There's the snow coming down. There's a live picture from Seymour, Indiana. In New Albany, it's looking more like sleet. Here in Louisville, pouring rain. We've had thunder snow this morning, lightning in downtown. We're getting it all. We welcome you to WDRB in the morning, where we'll be following the storm for you as we continue on until 9 o'clock. Jude is here. He's been tracking the storm overnight. Some unusual weather warnings for our area, Jude.
Yeah, blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, everything and every kind of precipitation known to man right now on StormView HD radar. Louisville Metro, it shows up as all rain, but something we've been discussing is that you get some of these cold pockets aloft that get drawn down to the surface, so you might transition to some sleet, maybe some big wet snowflakes from time to time around Louisville Metro. But this is not going to be an ice storm. Let me put the temperatures on here. E-Town 36, Brandenburg 34. Right around Louisville, we sit at 35 degrees. The roads are not going to be glazed up. We're not talking about bringing down trees and power lines because of an ice storm. It's either going to be a lot of heavy rain or it's going to be a lot of heavy snow. And the atmosphere is a disheveled mess when you talk about the temperature profile. So there's really no rhyme or reason along 64 where you get the heavy rain, some ice pellets mixing in, maybe some of the snowflakes. Again, you see all the green and the yellow and orange. It is primarily a real cold rain. You get into the heavy snow and even some thunder snow as you get up towards Paoli, Bedford, Driftwood, into Jackson County and Jennings County. Now that warmer surge is starting to transition that heavy snow back to a period of sleet, but it will go back to heavy snow as this system continues to wrap up. And notice as you go along 231, look to the left of your TV screen. We've had some lightning strikes over and through here representing those heavy bursts of snow where it will be 1 to 2 inches per hour. Jasper, Harbison, Lost River continuing up towards Mitchell and Bedford. It shows up as all snow right now, but we know that there is some sleet mixing in, and we also know that there's some light rain and some heavy snow coming down in times in these particular counties. Down to the south, Litchfield to E-Town, over towards Campbellsville, Greensburg, down into the Columbia, Adair County locations, a cold rain with temperatures around 40 degrees. Let's put everything in motion, and you can see in between Indianapolis and Louisville, that's where the heavy snow is ongoing. That's where it will stay. In Louisville Metro, a lot of people want to know, how much snow are we talking about? When do we get our snow chance? Well, what wraps in behind that low pressure is our snow chance, at least our chance for accumulation, and that occurs later on today. In a few minutes, I'll talk about how much we're looking at for Louisville Metro, and I'll let you know who could see 6 to 12 inches of snow here in Kentuckiana. And one of those bullseye spots is where Jeremy Capel sits right now. And Jeremy, we're talking about some of that sleet mixing in. How are we looking right now there?
My friend, it's painful when it comes with one of those gusts to 25 miles per hour. I hit you inside the face. You feel it. It stings. We have transitioned over to mainly sleet. You called this about 15 minutes ago, Jude. We did. We went from snow to sleet. Right now, mainly sleet. Get a little bit of snow mixed in. We piled up snow real fast when we saw a burst of snow just a little while earlier here in Seymour. We picked up an inch in about a half hour, 45 minutes. Now, we're still measuring an inch. That's part of the reason that is occurring is because we are seeing that sleet that is trying to accumulate on top of that snow. Because the snow is wet, it's compacting a little bit as well. So it's kind of stunting those accumulations, at least temporarily. But as you and I know, we're definitely going to be seeing more in the way of heavy accumulations here a little later on. Roads absolutely covered. The highway department has been making their rounds, doing the best job they can to keep the roads cleared. We just talked to a state trooper, said no major accidents yet. They've had a couple slide-offs, but so far up here in Seymour, Indiana, everybody seems to be faring okay with this storm. Something tells me that's going to change a little bit later on this morning. And later on this morning, I have no doubt Mike Marshall is going to be a very, very busy man. Mike, how's it looking out there?
Well, brace yourself for strong winds and winter weather. It is moving in. We are going to give you another live look from Seymour, Indiana, where the snow has been coming down this morning. Looks like a little bit of a break in that picture, but they're on the bullseye to get about 6 inches of snow. Traffic moving very slowly there. Jude?
Yeah, they're seeing some snow and sleet mixing in right now. Candace, look at StormView HD radar. Lightning strikes. We have thunder snow, thunder sleet, heavy rain, heavy snow. Snow rates will be 1 to 2 inches an hour for portions of Kentucky. And next, I'll let you know who's under that blizzard warning and who could see 6 to 12 inches. But first, a look at that travel forecast sponsored by the Department of Highway Safety. Winter storm continues to rage on. Some of the worst conditions happening right now. We've had thunderstorms in Louisville with some heavy rain, even some sleet coming down at times. It shows up as all rain. Temperatures well above freezing around Louisville Metro. The roads will not get covered in freezing rain. Maybe a bit of sleet mixing in from time to time, maybe a couple snowflakes mixing in. This is not going to deliver our chance for accumulating snow here in Louisville Metro with this batch right now. That comes later today when this wraps in behind the system. The best chance for accumulating snow between now and, say, 11 o'clock this morning, simply put, right up here in southern Indiana as you talk about those dark shades of blue showing up on StormView HD radar. Look at the temperature profile. Along and south of 64, we have a 34, 35, 38, 39, well above freezing. The roads are not going to be covered in ice here. Now we talk about problems as you get closer to Scott County around freezing with a mixture of some sleet and snow coming down. We have some sleet and snow mixed in Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County. This shows up as all rain lifting all the way up into Columbus, Indiana. Now, temperatures are around freezing. There's some sleet coming down. There's some snow coming down. The atmosphere profile from the ground up is nearly impossible to peg. I mean, this winter storm is drawing in so much warmth, not just at the surface, but aloft. That's why we're talking about that combination of rain and snow and sleet coming down. So basically just about everything you can imagine. And what we're seeing around Louisville Metro, when you get some of these convective bursts, and I'm talking about areas of thunderstorms, sometimes that draws down cold air aloft to the surface so you can briefly transition to some sleet and snow. But I'm telling you, between now and, say, 8 o'clock this morning, we're not talking about anything being covered up around Louisville and the roads becoming impassable. The real problem is up here as we hit Du Bois County, Washington, Orange, Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings, closer to Scott County. These are the locations that at times we'll get into some of these snow rates coming down around 1 to 2 inches per hour. And you can see on 31 and 65, these are going to be some of the bullseye spots. Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County. Seymour sits in that bullseye zone, and that's where our meteorologist Jeremy Capel is right now. Jeremy, started out with the big snowflakes. You've gone to sleet, but don't worry. I know you'd rather have snow. You're going to go back to snow here in a little while once that cold air wraps in.
Yeah, okay, Jude, I appreciate that. That's good news, man. Snow, a lot less painful than sleet flying at your face. As far as road conditions here in Seymour are concerned, roads are snow covered, but so far everything's kind of under control. You can still get a little bit of traction. We're not talking about a sheet of ice. As Jude mentioned, this is not a freezing rain event, and because ground temperatures have been fairly warm, they're still above freezing, so you do have a little warm layer. If you go down and you look at the asphalt, it's melting a little bit on the bottom, at the very bottom of this accumulation of snow. And the way you're really going to see good accumulations in any area is by the snowfall rate. And we know that we've already seen a burst here that's delivered more than an inch of snow. And I think for much of the area, when they do see that transition, all it has to do is overcome just a little warm ground. Ground temperatures between 35 and 40 degrees. So once it does begin to accumulate, you're going to get that snow-covered roadway very, very quickly. Jude, what do we got coming our way next, man? I mean, you predicted that sleet shower pretty good.
Well, it looks like you should transition to some snow in the coming hours as that cold air wraps in. But, you know, you've seen it all the time around here, Jeremy, where sleet, depending on how long it holds on, will cut back with snowfall accumulations. That's why we have quite a range as you go up into some of our northern tier counties that you're going to see in just 1 second. You talk about that cold air, and it undercuts the low pressure, so you can see where it starts to try to transition to some snow in western and southwestern Kentucky, sort of moving up the Ohio River, and it will eventually get here into Louisville Metro. But right now, as you go farther south down 65, it's just a cold rain. Snow lovers hate cold rain. 35, 36, 37 degrees when you're so close to getting that snow. Look at all these white blotchy areas. What are those? Those are lightning strikes. There's going to be some thunder snow up and through here. We've already had reports around Paoli and some thunder sleet even around Germantown here around Louisville about an hour and a half ago as we have this dynamic low pressure. See the wraparound leftover moisture into southern Illinois and western Kentucky. If we're going to get some accumulations around Louisville Metro, it's going to come on the backside of the low. That's still hours away. Right now we're on the front side where you get that warm air. And look at these bands from Nashville down through eastern Tennessee. More thunderstorms flaring up. I know we had the outbreak of tornadoes yesterday, the worst outbreak of tornadoes ever on Christmas Day here in the United States. We are not looking at severe weather. But it's just one of those days. One of those days that'll get you talking when you have thunder, snow, thunder, sleet, and thunderstorms ongoing, all within a span of about 50 or 60 miles. Every county in orange, blizzard warnings. They have not changed as you look up through southern Indiana and central Indiana. Now, here's the thing. A typical blizzard that you might think of raging in the plains, constant winds, 30, 35, 40 miles per hour, we're not going to see that. At times, we'll get some gusts to 30 or 35 miles per hour, so visibilities could drop to around 0, but it's not going to be a constant blizzard. Winter weather advisories, Louisville Metro, for the chance for some icy roadways, also the chance for some of these areas of snow to accumulate in a light fashion. We're not talking about that heavy snow here around Louisville, and we're up to around 35 degrees right now, safe and sound above freezing, wind still gusting to around 24 miles per hour. Notice ahead of that low pressure, there's that push of warmth. London 44, Louisville 35, Indianapolis 30. The heaviest snow will sit in between Indianapolis and Louisville, where we don't see a lot of sleet cutting into the totals. 35 today, pretty much holding steady. Now, late this afternoon, we'll drop a few degrees, and that's when we'll see that transition to light snow here around Louisville. 28 degrees tonight, 50% chance during the evening. After midnight, we have the clouds, but most of the moisture is gone. Pay attention to the time zone. Between 8 and 10 o'clock, we're going to go back to all snow up here in southern Indiana, and we'll see some very heavy snow coming in. As we go towards the noon hour, here we are around Louisville, and we'll wrap in some of that moisture. Now, notice how it's kind of broken. That's where you get in some dry air working into the system. That's why it's going to be a little bit difficult to pinpoint exactly where we have an inch or 2 inches or 2.5 inches in this particular spot. It really depends how that back edge is holding together. Right now, it looks like the safe bet is to say we're going to see some snow, and the snow accumulations will be on the lighter end here around Louisville and along the 64 corridor. Up to the north, there's that band that's going to get close to Bedford as we go over towards North Vernon and Seymour, 6 to 12 inches. If you have a lot of sleet, then we're going to be closer to 6 inches. If we get that transition to snow real soon, we could be in the 8 to 9 to 10 inch range, maybe 12 inches in between Indianapolis and Seymour. And you can see the cutoff line as you get closer down towards I-64, and maybe just some coverings in spots as you get down around E-Town over towards the state capitol. Doesn't look like a lot of snow, but it's still going to be kind of slick tonight because that temperature goes down to 28. Another shot of some accumulating snow as we go into Friday night and Saturday. Right now, Mike, this one will not deliver a blizzard punch to the region, which is good news. You know, I like snow, but when you talk about winds 30 and 35 miles per hour and blowing snow, and that's a little much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're getting. Some reports in Evansville, Indiana right now. They're in what they call whiteout situation on I-64 in Evansville. So that's what we're dealing with a little bit farther to our west. Now we'll look up.
624, good morning. Stormview HD radar tells the story. Heavy snow, we have some sleet, we have heavy rain, we have thunderstorms. And around Evansville, Indiana, they just picked up 3 inches of snow in 1 hour with whiteout conditions right now, and that kind of weather will be impacting portions of Kentuckiana as we head towards 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock this morning. The radar's a mess. I mean, even where we show all rain, there's some pockets of sleet coming down around Louisville Metro. We've seen that in Floyd and Clark County, even into Jefferson County, but the temperatures are above freezing. We are not talking about an ice storm for anyone here in Kentuckiana. There's going to be some slick spots here and there, but the real show around Louisville Metro in terms of accumulating snow happens later on today, and it's not going to be a show like they're seeing up farther to the north. Here's a close-up inspection, and look at the heavy rain down in Bullitt County. This will pivot its way off to the north around 30 to 40 miles per hour. I just want to caution you again, it shows up as all rain. The radar having a very hard time trying to depict exactly where we're seeing these individual bands setting up. It doesn't matter. It's just impossible. That's the way it is between now and, say, 9 o'clock this morning. Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County, Orange, Washington County, Du Bois County. We've had reports of thunder snow around Paoli. We have some sleet mixing in. We're going to go back to heavy snow. So as you transition to some areas of sleet, it will go back to snow later on this morning. And you can see down to the south, Litchfield, E-Town, as we head towards Glendale, down 65, Upton and Sonora. We have quite a bit of rain. Look at those lightning strikes that we've been seeing wrap around the low. And it goes back into southern Illinois and western Kentucky. And what you see there will pivot through Kentuckiana, and that's when we have our better chance around Jefferson County here in Kentuckiana as we talk about Kentucky dealing with the snowfall. Jefferson County, Indiana, Mike, up around Madison, they're under a blizzard warning. We'll look at accumulations for you guys up there, and I'll let you know who could see 6 to 12 inches coming up in a few minutes.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned a little slick as you're heading out and getting reports on.
All right, the winter weather is going to bring more than 6 inches of snow to parts of southern Indiana. There's a live picture from Seymour. We'll check back in with Jeremy Capel. Jude will have your forecast when we come back. Look at the snow coming down in Seymour, Indiana. That's where it's snowing pretty heavily this morning. Right now, we've got mostly rain in Louisville, but Jude, you were just out there taking a look, saw a few snowflakes mixing in here.
Yeah, even in downtown, we have some ice pellets, we have some snow mixed in. Candace, it's wacky because you get these convective bursts, and I'm talking about thunderstorms that pop up, and it draws down cold air to the surface. So when you look at StormView HD radar around Louisville, you see all green and orange, and that normally represents totally liquid. Well, not necessarily in this situation. I mean, it is impossible. I don't care what kind of radar you have to depict exactly what kind of precipitation in pinpoint varieties here in Kentuckiana. Let's go to the temperatures, and I can assure you we are not going to see an ice storm like anything we've ever had around here where you talk about power lines coming down. That's simply not in the cards. Now, there's going to be some sleet that makes the road slick in spots. That was in the forecast. But the big story, heavy snow versus heavy rain. Where is that heavy snow line versus the heavy rain? Right now, it's sections in southern Indiana from Jasper to Scottsburg, all points to the north. And you can see where that temperature is closer to 32 degrees. That's where you're talking about big-time problems. Portions of some of these roads in Kentuckiana will probably be impassable at times a day and most likely shut down at times a day the farther north from Louisville you go. So here we are, and let's talk about this a little bit. Floyd, Clark County shows up as mainly rain, even into Jefferson County. But I'm telling you, there's spots mixed in here where you get that brief transition. The farther north you go and back to the west, you wrap in some cold air, and you're going to start to talk about a transition to some areas of snow, and at times it will be very heavy. And the snow rates will be off the charts as you go up in through this zone. Evansville, near Evansville, in the last hour, they picked up 3 inches of snow. When you get 2 to 3 inches of snow in 1 hour, forget about it. I don't care what kind of plow system you have, you're not going to keep up with it. Everything's going to be covered. Whiteout conditions over around Evansville, and that's going to be impacting portions of Kentucky. And the farther south you go, down 65, we don't have many problems in through here. I mean, we have problems with heavy rain and ponding on the roads, but nothing is freezing. Now, what's going to happen, right now we have the warm surge ahead of that low pressure. The cold air is undercutting the low on the backside, so we're going to see a transition eventually wrap in from western Kentucky and southwestern Indiana, and that will get Louisville Metro, and that will deliver the chance for accumulations. We're going to see some accumulations around Louisville Metro, but it will pale in comparison to what they're going to see up in through here. I'm telling you, this is the bullseye spot as we go from Du Bois County, Orange, Washington, Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County, all points of the north there. It is going to be one heck of a winter storm as we talk about, at times, blizzard conditions. Basically holding steady around 35 here in Louisville Metro, some of those winds gusting to 35 and 40 miles per hour. It is 6:34. We go until 9 o'clock this morning. Jeremy Capel was live in Seymour up in Jackson County. You started with heavy snow, then to sleet, back to heavy snow. Jeremy, maybe even some thunder and lightning this morning.
Jude, it is coming down, my friend. This is about as heavy as we have seen since we've been up here. We've been up here since 4:40 this morning, and it's really beginning to pick up now. It's transitioned back over to mainly just snow. We had a period of sleet there for a little while. You can see it's a wind-driven snow. Visibility really dropping now. If you look this way, you see the interstate sign. Interstate 65 is only, it's about a quarter mile away. We can barely see Interstate 65 right now, so visibility is dropping to close to a quarter of a mile, maybe just a little bit more than that. If this snow continues to fall at this rate, it is really, really going to add up. Traffic doing okay so far. Everybody's taking it nice and easy, and we do expect that conditions will continue to deteriorate here. Hopefully, we don't have too many people trying to get out on these roads later on this morning. Speaking of the roads, Mike Marshall, you're a busy man this morning, no doubt. How are things looking?
Pretty good, Jeremy, but I can't help thinking that a person such as you that's intelligent enough to wear the driving gloves was not intelligent enough to wear a full toboggan.
I got one in the truck. It's coming out next.
Like I say, you better get it out. All right. He's up in Seymour, Indiana.
Southern Indiana is taking a direct hit from that winter storm moving across the country. You just saw Jeremy Capel being pelted with snow. There's another live look at Seymour, Indiana. We're going to talk to Jeremy about conditions there. Jude will explain why it's a little difficult to say how much snow we're going to get in Louisville.
You know, even if you don't get into that heavy snow today, you're going to be glad you have the day off. The reason, heavy rain, a cold rain. We've had some sleet. We've had some thunderstorms. We've had thunder snow. It's still a mess down 65 where we don't have the heavy snow. You cross the river, and that's where the real problems begin. Let's bring you in close on StormView HD radar, and you look at this and you say, okay, it's all rain around Louisville. You go up 65, Floyd, Clark County, Scott County, it's all rain, right? No, that's not the case. This system, I mean, it drags in warm layers. It is impossible to say exactly where you're going to get some sleet mixing in, some snow mixing in. Primarily around Louisville Metro, temperatures in the mid-30s. We will see sometimes, every now and then, where you get a burst of sleet, maybe a couple snowflakes. Most of the road should be handled okay in the next couple of hours. It's later on today that we bring in all of that cold air and we transition to snow. But by that time, most of the real moisture is gone. When you go from the heavy rain to heavy snow, you cross up 65, you go farther north up into southern Indiana, and there is going to be some snow coming down like gangbusters up here. Orange, Washington, Du Bois County, Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County, very dark blue now on StormView HD radar, and that's where we talk about snow rates 1 to 2 inches per hour, and we go farther up 65 into Jackson County, Seymour. You look at this and you say, okay, it's raining, right? You have the green, you have the yellow, the snow's off to the west. Nope. Jeremy Capel is in Seymour right now, and we've had heavy snow, some sleet, also back now to heavy snow. Jeremy Capel, how are we looking this morning?
Jude, it is snowing in Seymour. We know that much for sure. Getting a little bit of sleet in the mix right now. We went through a very heavy snow band just a few minutes ago, and now we're going into a sleet-snow combination. Wind's picking up a bit as well. You can see visibility has improved a little bit over the last time we talked. A few moments ago, I can see the interstate again, which means that visibility is now back to more than a quarter of a mile. It's at least a half mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile. So things have at least temporarily let up here in Seymour. Let's do a measurement. Last time we checked, we were at just a little more than an inch of snow. That was before the big snow burst that we just saw. And now we're somewhere at around 1 3/4 of an inch of snow on the ground right now here in Seymour. I know this is just the beginning. We're in it for the long haul here. Certainly traffic is going to be adversely affected. Right now it's still fairly smooth. Everybody really taking their time, as you should if you have to travel in weather conditions like this. But something tells me things are not going to be so pretty a little bit later on this morning. Jude, that radar, I know it's lit up like a radar. What do you see coming our way soon?
Yeah, well, Jeremy, the thing is, the problem later on this morning, in the next couple of hours, we're going to get some of those intense snow bands that Evansville just had move overhead, where they picked up 3 inches of snow in 1 hour. So all of that crossing from Du Bois County right up into Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County, Bloomington, Columbus, it's a mess. But down in southern sections of Kentuckiana, it's really just a cold rain, even up to around 40, 41 degrees down in Adair County ahead of that low pressure. So it's that warmth on the front side that goes all the way up into Louisville. And then on the back side, wrapping in behind it, is where you get the column as you go from the surface up, cold enough for all snow. But notice it gets blotchy, and you get into some dry air mixing in there. So the heavier snow totals will not be from 64 down to the south as this system moves off to the east-northeast. You can follow the dark blue and the thunder snow with the lightning strikes. Phenomenal stuff. And the heavy band will sit in between Indianapolis and Louisville, our northern tier counties, right in through here. As long as we do transition back to snow up around where Jeremy is in the coming hours and we can get into that real heavy snow, we should easily pick up around 6 inches there when it's all said and done. Even more than that, potentially, with some of those snow bands. And we have the blizzard warning. Let's talk about that for a second. I know a lot of times when you envision a blizzard, you think of howling winds nonstop, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. You can't see a thing. This is not going to be your normal blizzard. Every now and then you'll get a gust over 30 miles per hour. You'll get into some of those heavy snow bands where visibilities come down to around 0. But still, with those conditions, I think some of the roads will be shut down from time to time today. The farther south you go, you get into a winter weather advisory for Louisville Metro. The chance for heavy snow in Louisville just doesn't really exist at this point. You never say never with weather, but right now it looks like mainly light accumulations like we've been thinking all along here in Louisville. We've just dropped 1 more degree, 34. The wind's still steady at 13, gusting to 24 miles per hour. And all across Jefferson County, you don't see one spot below 32 degrees, which is terrific news. Back down to the south, no one near 32 degrees, but up in here, Jasper 32, Bedford 31, that's where you're talking about the real problems. There's that warm surge, Atlanta 55 with some thunderstorms and the risk for severe weather heading to the East Coast today with this mammoth, monstrous storm. 35 and holding steady, and then probably dropping a degree or two later on today as we transition to that light snow. 28 tonight, light snow ending during the evening, 50% chance. Here's our future radar. By 10:30, we're starting to see that transition zone into Louisville Metro. But notice the real dark blue is up to the north and northeast. We're in just the blotchy light snow showers. Every now and then maybe a burst to cover things up. And then we say goodbye to the system after sunset tonight as it moves off to the east. Then we are left with some cloud cover. Let's break down the snowfall accumulation map. Again, a solid 6 to 12 right up in through here. And that really depends how much sleet we're talking about. We should easily make it to around 6 inches in this zone. And then if you transition rapidly over to snow, we're going to start to pile it on and maybe some spots closing in on a foot. And then it really drops off the farther south you go. Louisville Metro, maybe an inch or two right now. That's the thinking. Doesn't look like a big one. But still, an inch or two of snow is going to cause some problems, especially tonight, Mike, when that temperature drops down into the upper 20s. And then another shot of some accumulating snow Friday night into Saturday morning. That system will pale in comparison to what we're seeing right now. And blizzard warnings don't happen very often. Last time, 2004.
Yeah, the blizzard, once again, Evansville, Indiana on I-64, they're reporting whiteout driving conditions there. So that storm just to the west of us, a little closer to home.
Snow is falling across southern Indiana, and now snow falling in downtown Louisville. There's a live look from our tower cam right at 7th and Muhammad Ali. The wintry mix we can expect before the day is over, and another look at snow totals coming up. That's what I want. Sure. Grab your umbrella, grab your gloves, maybe the ice scraper, small shovel, a blanket. I don't know. You might need all of it. Here's a live look at downtown Louisville this morning. Snow has moved into the metro area. Jude says we may go back to rain this morning as well. He's keeping an eye on what could change, and he'll tell you more about it. Rain was falling in Louisville. Now it's changed over to snow. Might go back to rain again. We're going to give you a live look from our tower cam at 7th and Muhammad Ali. Our weather team is all over it. Jeremy Kappel's up in Seymour, Indiana to show us what's happening there, and Jude will talk about snow totals for the day.